Hold on to your mug. We're in for a wild night.
Greeting, traveler.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It's good to be back on a beautiful Friday evening in Portland, Oregon, and of course, joined tonight by some very good friends of mine.
Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm super excited. This is Hydra Blakarot Friday night. I'm stoked. We got a really good show planned, and let's go, man. I'm stoked.
Yo, what's poppin'? It's your boy Blakarot, man. It's a new expansion. Cracking open some packs, cracking open some beers. Ready to rock. So, fellas, let's do it, man. I'm really excited for tonight. Yo, tonight it's a great night. Like I said, new expansion. Yo, who let the dogs out? Yo, great. Our guest tonight, our homeboy, the one and only Goliath the Dwarf.
Hey, what? LoreMaster in the house. We like it.
Welcome back.
LoreMaster.
My pleasure. I love coming on this show. I love talking about something that I love, something I'm enthusiastic about, and it's always fun to have a receptive audience. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, basically, I like the trend here. You know, a new set comes out, Goliath comes on to let everybody know what the set's about. How you worded it in the pre-show. You talk about cards people probably wouldn't play with, but it gives you a backstory, so you might want to play with it. So I'm glad you're here, man.
Yeah, me too. And I think Mike and I were kind of the same in this. When Scholomance came out, like, I was not nearly as invested until after we like dug into the whole story. And like, I could care less about, you know, the Barrens family, but then we learned the whole story and like, wait a minute, like, they're using the castle, and wait a minute, they corrupted. Wait a minute, the whole family. Like, wait, what? These all these characters are related, and so every time I play these decks now, I see the cards, and I'm like, I know who that is. Like, it's really different than just playing like, all right, this is this card, and this is what it does. It's like, oh no, this is my dude over here.
That was the same for me with the Dark Moon Fair, because we had talked about Dark Moon Fair and all the different cards and stuff, and just like thinking about all that lore. And then I actually went there and WoW for the first time right after that. I went into the fair. I'm like, whoa, look at all, man, the cards. I'm looking at the game board that's in the game and the roller coaster, and then I'm actually there in WoW, and it was really, really, really cool just to see stuff that's
I want to do that.
Oh, it's super cool. You can ride that roller coaster, man, not just click on it.
Yeah, I might play this game. I might play for a little bit.
Did you ever? Cool, you can still get the Lady Liadrin skin for playing WoW, right?
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Away. And because if you already play Hearthstone, there's just from having won your first 3 games, as soon as you get in WoW, you'll have a Hearthstone themed horse called like the Hearth Steed already.
It's awesome. It's a flying mount.
Ooh.
So you have to unlock flying, of course, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's super cool. My wife saw me using it. She's like, I want that. That thing is so cool. Well, you gotta play Hearthstone. You gotta win. I think it's like 3 games in ranked or something. Yeah, to get it. She's like, oh man, can you play Hearthstone for me on my computer?
Yeah, the description says that the hoofbeats pound with the frustration of your first 3 opponents or something like that.
Oh, that's funny.
That's awesome.
Do you have?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you have Morgul already? That's how I do. That's how I got Morgul, because you have to refer a friend, and so I made an account, a Hearthstone account for my wife, like a free to play account from my referral.
I think I got my kid.
I haven't been able to get any of that.
Oh,
I don't live around people in real life who play the game very much. So.
You know what I actually did? I think it was before my son even played. I think I just made an account, like a secondary account.
A Smurf account or something?
Yeah,
that's
Smurf
cheating.
account.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
that's cheating.
No, it's not, because they make you work for it. I think you have to get your classes to level 20 or something.
Yeah.
Whatever you say.
I know. The little bit I play. No. The little bit I play, he's telling the truth. I know that fact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fact.
still cheating, but they make you work for it if you're going to cheat.
Oh, I'm not. I wasn't condemning it. I'm just saying. I'm not incriminating myself. Never mind. I need this emote. It wasn't me. Like,
Wasn't me.
but last week when Nate said that word, anyway.
Wasn't me.
Back to the show notes.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But we need that soundbite.
Oh yes, we do. Before we get into the meat of the show, how's everybody doing? We got a whole new expansion that just came out. We've got all these different cards, new rewards track, everything. Like, what's going on? Nate, how about you? How are things going so far?
It's been a busy week for me, mostly at work. And so, I mean, I had the benefit of having expansion day off. My wife had a dentist appointment and she was getting some like a crown put in, and so it was a long appointment, and so my son and I like dropped her off at the dentist. Like, I took the whole day off work, dropped her off at the dentist, came home, cracked open some packs, played a bunch of games, like, you know, and then went and picked her up later, and it was fun, you know. I will say I was a little frustrated because it was unplayable for the first half of the day because of all the bugs. But once
talk about it.
I was pretty irritated, like, not gonna lie. But once we figured out, hey, there's the workaround, is take out all the golden cards. Like, it hurt a little bit, but it worked. You know, I will say for me, this week I've played some standard, I've played some wild. I've seen kind of like this, you know, people. The current fixation is like this, like Death and Taxes Paladin. And, like, it's fine, whatever. I've been having a lot of fun with Secret Paladin, like a different build of Secret Paladin. And I discovered, like, with the core set, I had so much fun playing Demon Hunter, which is not a class that I normally like. But Illidari Inquisitor, like, it should be a legendary. Like, 8/8 with Rush, and then and then whatever you attack, it attacks again. So, like,
it has Rush?
Oh yeah, dude. So you can clear a minion and then you attack face and then it goes face. Like, oh my god. And I like, so many opponents would try, like they'd freeze it, and then I'd attack face and it would still attack face, and then they and then they hover over it, and it's like, oh dude. Oh man. I had so like, my goal now is Demon Hunter wins. And I'm talking to Draco Cat. He's the expert there. And he's working on a list for me. Wildcard and I have been trading lists, and like Mike and I have been trading lists. So we're playing some stuff. I mean, overall, I'm enjoying it. I will say the one thing that I think was a mistake on Blizzard's part was to release the core set the same day that they released the expansion. Because in my mind, it feels like information overload. Like, so many people are playing the Barrens cards that nobody's like touching the core set. And like, I saw Ben complaining about like, hey, how, like, I put Nozdormu in every single deck, and like out of 80 games only one other person has done it. And was like, dude, nobody even knows those cards exist because they're all playing Barrens cards right now. Like,
I completely forgot about
that.
Right? I mean, I think that
That's a good point.
They should have released it when they released Classic, like a week ahead of time. And then everyone would have played those cards. But, you know, I mean, it's done
They're
now.
kind of sleeper cards.
You're talking heavy, Nate. Yep.
Well, that's my 2 cents. But anyway, it's been a good week. I'm happy to see you guys. I'll stop preaching now. But you know, whatever. Yeah. How about you, Mike? What have you been up to?
Yo, all right. This week, man, it's been really crazy. So, just like Nate said, was excited for expansion day. Cracked open all these new cards. But like the first night or two, it wasn't from like gaming or like having fun. It was just like, I don't know what happened to me, but I got these crazy headaches. Like, you guys ever get like migraines where it just like completely wipes you out? You can't, and it's not like you're a kid and you're faking. Like, you don't want to go to school, you stay home, play games. Like, you have a migraine where you can't even like watch TV or
My wife gets them pretty regular. It's they run in her family, and they're like debilitating, dude. It's terrible. Like, you're down and out, man. You can't do anything, and yeah, no, that's awful. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I've had a couple friends and even an old parish priest said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually, Nate, I don't want to sidetrack too much. I gotta get this checked out. But I think me and you had talked about that one time, and you had brought your wife up before. Like the same. Not that I'm trying to compare, because no one should have this pain. But like, it was crazy. So I wanted to play in the first day or two. but like the headache took me out.
Yeah.
So I got to play more last night and today, and I really think it was like a blessing in disguise. I think my brain kind of like was creating lists and ideas, and it just kind of like slowed me down for a day or two because I didn't get to see like day one lists, like what the crazy things were. Like I was jumping in, I was trying to play, but like I get an hour or two and my headache would just take over. Like I was trying to hang out on Discord and it just knocked me out. So
you had to
get to the
let
exciting part of this,
take over.
Yeah.
Your
To get to the
subconscious
exciting part
heart's
of this,
brain that makes the genius lists without you thinking about it.
I link up with Nate, and like he said, this Illidari Inquisitor. I was just making a joke about the fact that it has rush, because I just attack face and it attacks face, and like it's game over. It's pretty sick. Like I'm glad you put me on to this Demon Hunter, Nate. So shout out to you.
Oh, it's fun.
I also want to get some more Demon Hunter wins too. Some of the decks I've been playing, I took this deck I had from Scholomance, this rogue deck. It had a self-sharpening sword, and then I kind of used a swine tusk, even though I trash talked it in the review. I opened them. Listen. I opened 2 of them golden. So I was like, "Is this like
that's motivation?
Is this karma?" I'm like, "Is this dust? Do I just try it?" So I took it out. I took out this self-sharpening sword, put in swine tusk, just tried the poisons. I was like, whatever. Obviously, Penflinger's in the deck. It's the same deck from Scholomance. And I put in that new Octobot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this deck is disgusting, man. It's standard. You can play it in wild. You can play a wild version. A lot of 1-drops, a lot of 2s. Field contact activates its own combos and battle cries. You get Octobot. Your entire hand is like 0 on like turn 4. And then you play all these zeros. Secret Passage is one of those. You play as your last card. It's crazy, man. Along with that, started to piece together this idea I have for Frenzy. So I tried Frenzy minions alone, and I kept running into these crazy druids and priests. So I was like, to play that long game, I blended it in with like a N'Zoth, like Demon Hunter, a N'Zoth Death Rattle. So I guess, not that I guess, just to be factual, at the moment, just the Frenzy minions alone don't hold up. So I need to like buy them into like a core. I mean, into a shell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I was using the like N'Zoth Death Rattle deck and slid the Frenzy minions in there, so you can resurrect some taunts with Frenzy, the ones that destroy minions, and then also some taunts with N'Zoth. And the last deck I'm really excited to talk about. Hopefully we can play it next week or some stuff. Murgle, Firemancer. I made a. So I took Septic Veilweaver, I took Nazmani Bloodweaver and Lyra, and that new 8-mana Power Word Fortitude spell. And I just jammed a whole bunch of spells in this priest deck, and I put Rally in there, so they could purposely die, and then I can play them on curve on purpose, and if they die, summon them back. But by turn 4, I'm able, sometimes turn 3, I'm able to summon Lyra and also have a 5/11 and a 3/8 on board. Wow. It's pretty sick. Yeah. I love Wild right now. I love Hearthstone overall. And I've been having a great week. Sorry for going way over my time. I have so many decks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hydra, what about you? How's the last couple of days been? Oh, sorry, but you got more? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, it's Hydra. Go ahead, Hydra. The note said Goliath, but my bad. It's back. It's Hydra.
That's my fault.
Yeah. I'll get it.
It's Hydra.
Yeah, so my week, man, it's been pretty sweet. First of all, I was off work all week, which is really, really, really nice because the expansion was coming out, and did this thing where I planned a surprise for my kid, which involved redecorating his entire room with these cool lights and all this stuff. And basically what we did is we turned the whole house into an escape room, and he had to get into his room. It was really, really cool, and all these challenges and puzzles and stuff. And then once he got into his room, he saw it was all brand new bed, new carpet, new lights, everything. And the cherry on top was a PC that we got him. And he was over the moon. So he had his own computer, super stoked. The only thing I didn't think about was I planned this all for like the same day that the expansion was coming out. So like I did all this. Actually, it was the day before. Did all this, and he was super hyped. It was awesome. Next day, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna play a new Hearthstone expansion, and my kid's like, "But you got me a computer. Let's play games that I want to play together." And I'm like,
Insert mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made.
crap. So here I am. We're playing some games he likes. We played what's that stupid Fall Guys. We were playing like that together. We were playing one of those Hello Neighbor games together. So we're just playing stuff, and I got him Discord, so we got our headsets on. He's in the other room, and we're chatting with each other. We're playing the games together. It's really fun actually because my kid's 12, so we can do a lot of things together like that, like buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, he was really, really stoked. But then as soon as it was bedtime, out came the cards. I had an awesome pack opening. I opened everything except for 5 legendaries.
Holy cow.
From the set, and plenty of dust to craft the rest. So that was fine. So I basically got the whole set from the beginning. And one thing that I always do is I always clear my weekly quests as soon as I get them. So on Sunday, I get Asia's right in the morning. So I clear those out, and then Sunday afternoon, EU comes in, and I clear those. And then first thing Monday, I clear the quests, the weeklies on Monday for NA. Not thinking that the new set drops on Tuesday, and I have 0 quests to like advance my reward track. So everyone's posting like, "Oh, look how far I am," and I'm like slowly getting the like 30 quest a game sort of thing. I'm like, no!
Whoops.
Like the XP was just so slow. Like Nate's like, "I'm level 30." I'm like level 10. I played like 24/7. So yeah.
Said he wins the race.
So I decided, and then here's the beauty of like this was a blessing in disguise because I got every card from the set, which was amazing. I couldn't just get my XP the easy way with those weekly quests right away. So I decided I was going to do the achievements, and so instantly I popped into Shaman and I read all 3 of the Shaman achievements and I did them all right away. Like, and then I moved on to Hunter, and then I started doing the Hunter ones, and I moved on to Paladin, and I'm just like working my way through. And I've played like a lot of the new cards. Like I did Hero Power Mage, Secret Paladin, the Hunter where you shuffle the stupid little raptors into the deck, Burn Shaman, just everything. That stupid card in Paladin that buffs everything +1/+1 in your whole deck. There's an achievement for that. You have to do it.
Is
that the one? Yeah. So I'm basically just playing everything, trying to get XP, and it's really made me appreciate the set. Nice. Like it's really fun. I like I was trying to get the Mancrick lethal. That one was driving me crazy because you have to summon it from your deck, and then it has to get the lethal. Like that's one. There's all sorts of things. So I'm having a lot of fun with the set. So blessing in disguise that I had to do all the achievements right away. I still got a lot to go, but that's just what I've been doing. And
it's just something that's great about achievements. I mean, I was really excited for it when they were announced, even if you don't always get the most practical rewards like direct cosmetics. It's an excuse to have fun in ways that you might not otherwise.
Well, and I feel bad because the last expansion I didn't achievement hunt at all, not once. I didn't go for any of them. And I saw everyone in Discord having fun with it. Damn. No, I didn't do a single one unless it was by accident.
Some of them are pretty easy to do by accident, the more basic ones, but still, yeah.
Yeah. The rest, I did not try to do a million gray bows. That did not happen. I did not play the
Yogg.
That
was actually fun. I actually liked it.
Yeah, well, now that's what I'm seeing is this is actually really, really fun. Like there was one quest I had to do where you had to summon. It's it's a hunter one, 6 hyenas in one turn, and to do it you need to have a specific hand and a certain amount of mana, and you're gonna probably lose that game because you have to summon these 6 hyenas and you have to trade them off if your board's full, and if you can't trade them off, well, you're screwed. You can't do it. But anyways, it's been a whole lot of fun. I'm really excited. How about you, Goliath? What's been going on with you? How's your week going?
I've been pretty busy with my job at the newspaper. I was actually out really late last night covering a preview of a high school musical called Into the Woods at a place like an hour's drive away from me. And when I get home, then I see a message from Nate saying, "Hey, I hope it's not too late, but I wanted to talk about the podcast." I'm like, "It's not too late for me, buddy. I literally just got home." But
Sweet.
So yeah, been busy at work. Really excited about Easter on Sunday. And we of course have the little noble garden where it translates into the Hearthstone. There's the special tavern brawl for that and everything. But for Hearthstone itself, new expansion, I've been really excited for that stuff. I wrote a little lore guide on some of the legendary cards. We're going to talk about a lot of that stuff tonight. So that was a project for me. I got a lot of good legendary pulls. I actually had one pack I got that had 2 legendaries in it.
Awesome.
Like you think sometimes I thought that I got just like the really high shot of dopamine just when I open a regular random legendary, but I was like I had some chemical sensation going on in my brain I've never felt before. Probably when I realized I got 2 in the same pack, and then I got another one actually in one of the packs for the season end, and it was a golden one. So
wow, nice.
I don't have all of them, but I have a decent amount, and I'm just trying to figure out how do I play with them. Because I'm trying to do a little more of making my own decks again. Like I did when I first started the game. Lately, I've just been doing like deck lists because I'm in a lot of communities like Born to Be Wild, where people share deck lists so often. I'm like, if I have all the cards for that, I want to try that, and I want to try that. And I've remembered that building decks is really hard for me. But I have mainly been playing. I've been focusing on standard, mainly because as one thing I've learned from this podcast, from this community, is that wild decks can actually be extremely limiting because you need the ultimate cards, the bigger, stronger, faster ones, otherwise it doesn't cut it. And I want to actually play with all my new cards, so I'm going to play in standard where they stand a lot more of a chance. So I've been doing that. I have the main one I've been playing today actually is from a deck list, and it's a Demon Hunter one that uses the legendary of the Death Speaker, and so it's mixing in some of the Death Rattle cards with a lot of weapons and those cards that boost your attack, like the new ranked spell for Demon Hunter. Those can be pretty powerful in the late game if you have like 2 of them in your hand. They each give you 4 attack. They each only cost 1 mana. I've had people who their opponents think that they're all good with the health. I don't have any minions on them. Then I just pop a whole bunch of spells and 1 weapon. I just slam them in the face and win it. It's been really fun. So I'm really enjoying Demon Hunter at the moment.
Nice.
And just having a lot of fun. I also I'm not super far up the ranked ladder, I'm mind fogging here. What do we call the thing where you get the experience for?
That's the rewards track.
The rewards track.
Rewards track. Sure. Yeah. The rewards track. I'm not super far along that, but I have got the first 3 mercenary skins for it. Like the really young novice versions, and so that's. And I think that as someone who really likes story, I think these mercenary characters have a lot of great potential we can see over the year. I'm certain that we're going to get the other mercenaries as rewards tracks for the other 2 expansions this year, and I'm looking forward to learning who these characters are and watching them grow. And since right now we have the Demon Hunter, the Warrior, and the Priest, that's motivating me to experiment more with Demon Hunter, Warrior, and Priest, because I like the idea of being able to play with these new characters and portraits.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to mostly this week, Hearthstone wise.
Oh, guys, before we move on, let me tell you one story. My kid, like, he's been playing a lot lately. He's really been wanting to play Kingsbane really bad, and so he has been. It's difficult, I think, right now because the meta is fresh and there's new cards, and like he wants to play Kingsbane. I'm like, and it's a little bit tricky, right? It's a rough Kingsbane meta. But the funny thing is he was like, oh, do I have some money? Like, I think I want to get the pre-order. Like, all right. Well, I'll get you the pre-order. And so I got him the pre-order, and he goes, look, I'm only looking for, I just want one card from this set. Like, I want Scab's Cutter Butter. Like, that is, and I want it in gold. That's what I want. And that's the only card that I want. I want golden Scabs. Dad, do you think I can open a golden Scabs? I was like, dude, okay, let me give you some reasonable expectations, right? I don't want you to get your hopes. I don't want you to get your hopes up and then be, crushed when you don't get it. And so he opened a bunch of packs and like pulled a lot of legendaries, which I was totally surprised. Like his pull rate was better than mine. And I'm sitting in the computer next to him, like open to jam in my own packs and try to play games. And he's sitting at the computer down, kind of next to me down a ways. And he like freaks out. And I'm like, what are you okay? What happened? And I look over, freaking golden Scabs.
Wow!
Like, that was so
Legendary!
nuts.
He opened it. He's like, the one card I want in gold. Like, I don't care about anything else. That's what I want. And he opened it. I couldn't believe it. He's like, and I hear this like jamming on the keyboard. And I look over. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I just took 15 screenshots. And I was like,
Is it a cool golden animation? I haven't seen it.
I don't have it. I don't know. I'll check. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to check. So we've been trying to build a Kingsbane with Scabs, and it's not a good Kingsbane meta, but like I promised him we'll spend the weekend, like we'll try to make it work. So
We'll get our top people on this, solving this problem. Call off the rocket scientists from NASA. This is what really needs the great minds working right now.
That's what I'll be doing this weekend. Yeah, the boost to nitro, the nerf to nitro boost poison was rough. Like it is very difficult to corrupt now. Yeah, it's almost like man. I think I want to even just pull it out of the deck. Like it's too hard now.
So annoying. It really is so hard. It's so annoying.
We have some new poisons that I've been experimenting with. It's one of the only wild decks I've been playing with. I kept my Kingsbane. I got rid of most of my others to make room for possible new decks. But one thing I kept was the Kingsbane because I wanted to play around with it with the new poison cards and see if anything is viable. I haven't gotten anything that's a really strong win rate yet, but man, it's fun to just pile a bunch of different poisons onto the Kingsbane.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to deviate too much there.
It's just really fun to pile them all on, even if you're not trying to win.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's probably some achievements there, too. All right. Like, Mike, let me pass it over to you.
Yeah. So, Nate wanted to give us the opportunity for me and Goliath here to announce that me and Goliath have teamed up to create a separate new podcast called LoreMastersHS. LoreMastersHS is a podcast that I've had my idea. I've had my mind on an idea for the show, a lore podcast, ever since I've been a fan of Valen's Chosen. 5 years ago. Who can help me date this? When they started 5 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a while. So I always wanted to be on the show. I never was esteemed or high legend enough to make the roster. But I met Goliath on Discord back when I joined this podcast here over in a different Discord, and I saw that he was doing lore articles, and once I knew I could get him in this Discord and help be a part of this community, maybe I could talk to him about doing this podcast idea, because I could look up WoW stuff, but I really don't know like timestamps, what goes where. Like I'd be buying a puzzle and I don't know how to put the pieces together.
Stories are meant to be heard and told, not just read the summary of. It adds so much
Exactly.
experience.
I could. Yeah, I could sit here and read this and just sound bland. So, I'm a firm believer that no one person knows everything. So I wanted to team up with somebody who has a stronger skill than I do in Goliath, and he's already proven himself with the opportunity that Nate has provided having these lore episodes. So Lore Masters is a platform where we're going to be discussing one card, like one episode per month. We want to scale up to 2, but just for now, it's going to be one episode per month. We're going to be focusing on the legendaries in Hearthstone. We want to start back around the classic set. The idea came before they switched up, classic and basic on the wild. My initial idea to Goliath was let's start back like in the classic set, but I don't know the exact starting point in the timeline. So this is where I want to kick it to Goliath, and he can expand and share his energy on his half of Lore Masters. Being the literal lore master, I'm the frazzled freshman. So, and I just listen, I just soak it all in. Like on the first episode we did, like I was just in awe of everything. I was just like, "What? No way! Tell me more!" But here we go. Go ahead, Goliath.
Don't look up to the smug senior yet,
Right?
Hopefully without the smug.
Love it. Yeah, hey, the first episode was great. You guys covered Ahrimourn, right? Is that my Ahrimourn?
Yes, it's a hard key, not a soft key.
And
but it's hard to tell the fantasy names anyway.
I don't want to spoil it, right? But that's one of the newer cards, and that's Medivh's mom, right?
Yep.
All right, there we go.
Medivh's mama, and later on, kind of Jaina's sidekick for a while too.
Love
actually. So.
All right, well, we'll link it in the show notes. I don't want to spoil it, but it was a good episode, you guys, and it's cool.
Yeah, it was the first one. That one is just audio only, but we're working on. We're planning on having live episodes in the future, and we're gradually, increasing as we're building up our capabilities here. So if you don't expect too much on a technical level when you go to the first one, but we have some good content there, and we're planning on.
We are not Nate Wolf. Sorry. We are not Nate Wolf. Speaking of being frazzled freshman, I got to get a course from Professor Nate, so we can start to seriously follow the model that he has here. If we're going to do, the once a month show, it's plenty of time for me to learn. But yeah, I'm excited for Lore Masters. Anything else you want to put on there, Glad?
I'm just really excited. We're planning on. We're starting with some of the original cards. We're focusing on stories of different legendary minions. Currently going once a month. Maybe we can go more in the future. We'll see how things go. But yes, we're just going to take it slow, and that gives us content. We'll cover everything in about 50 years. Who knows? But
we'll pass this to the grandkids. All right, Nate's kids, my kids, Hydra's kids, Goliath kids. They can be the
Lore Masters, the next generation.
Oh man, when can you imagine we're all grandpas and we pass the podcast off and it's all our kids doing it? That'd be so funny.
We're gonna have to be very careful to all train them to love Hearthstone.
Working on it.
I hope that Hearthstone is around then.
Oh man,
can you imagine how many sets will have been out at that point?
Jeez.
Imagine how many cards in Wild.
Oh, yes.
I wonder if they'll be playing Hunter then. But anyway, hope you guys check it out. And I want to make sure we get to our lore here tonight. So let me jump to our next topic really quick. The listener series.
Yeah.
We are in the top 8. Top 8 has started. So the rules for the top 8. Decided to spice it up, make it a little bit different. I got this one from Reddit. I thought it was a pretty cool twist. I wasn't sure if people would be cool with it, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna try it out. It's top 8. This is the cream of the crop. It's where the better players are getting. So the rules for this week is minimum of 2 for each minion tribe. No weapons allowed. And no legendary minions allowed.
Oh.
So a question was posed to me by Dr. Evil. She's very scary because she has a crazy record, so I didn't want to mess up. I had to answer really quick. She might send the goons after me. So
Dr. Evil's scary. Who would have guessed?
What is it? Circus Amalgam? Help me out here, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the 4-mana Amalgam.
Yeah,
And
yes.
the
There's
regular
the previous
Amalgam.
one, and there's the original one from Witchwood, which is just
The 3
amalgamation,
mana.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so those 2 individual minions would count as 1. She was asking if she could put 2 and that they would count for all. And I was like, no. So you got to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so you have to have 2 of each minion tribe. So it's Menagerie Week.
Smart.
I'm really excited. You see, you see what I'm saying, man? You see what we're working with? Like, that's such a genius question. Like, she's such high level. I was just like, my brain almost fried. I was like, whoa. No.
That's pretty
genius.
For non-shamans, that's a lot limiting because there's not a ton of non-shaman totems out there. So that's an interesting challenge at the very least, because you have a small amount of totems that you're obligated to put in from that pool.
Yeah. Top 8. I'm excited for it. So Top 8 starts 7 p.m. March 31st and ends April 7th at 7 p.m. So I'm really excited for that. We'll have more information. Check out Twitter. As soon as we get results, I'll be able to tweet them out, and we'll be able to keep you guys informed.
Nice.
Really excited for it.
Nice.
Hey, one thing I want to jump in real quick with is that we're working already on plans for season 2, and what does that look like? We've had a lot of fun with this season so far. We've made a lot of friends. We've worked really hard, and I think we learned a lot of things as well. And so we're trying super hard to get a bunch of stuff automated for the next season. And so Mike and I have been working with our good buddy eSheep City, and we got big plans in terms of getting all this stuff online and sort of automated. There's spreadsheets for everything, and they're all functional. So, you put in your info, you put in the your decks and your bands and the schedule and like the whole shebang online, so that there's a lot less hands-on. We'll have some pretty we'll be enforcing some deadlines in terms of, hey, this is what each week looks like. Everybody knows it way up front. All of the deck building challenges will be available at the very start of the season, and so people can plan their collections around the challenges so that there's lots of time. You don't have to be disenchanting stuff or crafting stuff, like plan things way ahead. And so I'm super excited for this. If anybody's interested in signing up, signups are open starting right now. They're open for the entire month of April. This is 100% free. There's no cost at all. It's just fun. It's going to be 8 weeks long, right? So five weeks of matches and then 3 weeks of playoffs. And I'm super excited for it. I mean, we'll post more about it as there's to come. If you want to go to our website, there's a separate page for listener series, and there's all the info is on there. So borntobewildhs.com, click the link at the top for listener series, and all the info is there. But man, it's going to be a super blast, and I'm really excited for it. This has been like the highlight of the past couple months for me, is playing in this, and so it's been enjoyable, especially as when we get towards the end of an expansion, the meta starts getting really stale, and so having this to fall back on has been like really fun for me. So I've enjoyed this quite a bit.
Yeah, this series saved the end of the meta for me, man. You're so right about that. Shout out to Electric Sheep City for joining the crew. Born to be Wild Boy, getting us those sheep, man. What do you call them? The sheep sheets. Sheep sheets. MVP.
Yeah,
appreciate it, bro.
100%. So yeah, it'll be a blast, and they have the spreadsheets.
Yep,
spreadsheets.
I typed that to see if anybody would get it. And I was like, "Oh, pretty sweet spreadsheets." And I didn't even know if it just rolls off the tongue so smoothly.
It does. We've just adopted it as the new terminology. So
spreadsheets. You gotta nerf them. Don't nerf them. Swoopy.
Love it. Alrighty.
Hydra.
Okay, so yeah, we got a whole bunch of news that we ain't gonna talk about because guess what? Bugs like crazy. They're gonna be fixed next week. Come Monday, we hear. So I mean, we got a jam-packed show that's all full of lore. So we got all these bugs. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about what's going on, but we thought that we would focus on, we got this new expansion, we got all this lore that we got to talk about. So what's the point of talking about all that stuff?
Especially
right?
when it's going to be fixed. Like, by the time people are listening to this, the patch is going to be out already. So, like, what's the point in complaining about all the bugs, like, that are already fixed? So let's just skip it. It's not worth it.
Ready? Hey, Blizzard, this fix is awesome. Thanks, we love it. This fix has been great. They fixed everything.
Oh my gosh. Hey, we do have one quick thing before we get into the lore, is a new legend shout out. So big thank yous to our buddy Flavio in the Discord, who let us know that one of his friends by the name of Sir Snuffykins.
Adorable.
It is adorable. Hit legend for the first time with Reno Lock in Wild, so that's super cool. So big shout out to Sir Snuffykins. Cheers and job well done. I know that there's nothing like your first time. And yeah, this is with the Nemzi portrait. So the name and the portrait go hand in hand. It's great. Love it. Again, we haven't had one of these in quite a while, and so this is something that we were doing pretty consistently for a while. Is, hey, somebody hits Wild Legend for the first time, we give them a shout out on the show. It's a really memorable experience, and so
it's very encouraging to get other people to maybe work up to legend. I know that I didn't really take it all seriously, but all the motivations of this community after I joined in, and when I hit my first one shortly after, you're right that there's nothing quite like your first time. I haven't had very many times afterwards, but still, the few ones I had, nothing is quite like your first time. So yeah, I think congratulations to all the first legends. It's quite an accomplishment. I'm really proud of all of you.
Yeah, no, I love it.
We love to see things like that.
I need that sound bite. I need that sound clip. I'm gonna go back and Twitch later on and record it on my iPhone because it can be used so many ways.
Oh, I know. Just sitting here laughing in the background. You'll understand when you're older, son.
Yo, my dude said, yeah, the first time was amazing. Hasn't happened a lot since, but the first time, yeah, any time since is special. No, I'm just kidding. I was messing. I mean, I've been sipping, throwing some back, so.
It's a little close to home, that one.
No, I felt it. That's why I'm making jokes, but as a young man, I feel felt it.
Oh God! All right. Let's get into the main topic. We got some good stuff. Hey, Young Hunt, what's up, dude?
The main event.
Yes. Okay. All right, and now it's time for the main event. So the reason that you're all here tonight is to learn the history, at least big picture overview of Forged in the Barrens, and so this is where we pass the talking stick and the lore book and whatever else off to our friendly lore master Goliath the Dwarf.
My pleasure. All right, so to get started on what is the Barrens, this is what I like to call a tour guide type of Hearthstone expansion, where some of them will focus on kind of a small area and do something in depth, or their main thing will be to focus on feature characters from a certain race. Like Rastakhan's Rumble was basically, here's a bunch of trolls, and they're all fighting in a small arena. Some will be kind of features on like a specific dungeon or like a certain instance with a lot of bosses from Warcraft. But this is the sort of thing that I call it tour guide because we have just a wide smattering of different things across a large area. And it's really great because we can have this class is representing this particular aspect of the flavor, and this is representing this aspect of the flavor. So we have a lot of different type of things to talk about here. But to get started, as you'll see, we have a map of the Barrens right here. And to just demonstrate exactly what the Barrens are, you'll notice that it's surrounded by a couple areas. One of them is called Mulgore. That is where the Tauren live. That's kind of the homeland where they have their capital city of Thunderbuff. And another one off to the side is Durotar. That is where the orcs mainly live, in the capital city of the Horde called Orgrimmar. And there's also a couple islands right below Durotar. Those are called the Echo Isles, and that is where the Darkspear Trolls live. So the reason the Barrens is so important, it's not really very much on its own. It's barren, it's with most areas in WoW that are deserts or barren, it has a backstory of once this was a lush land, but then a lot of bad stuff happened, and now nothing will grow here, etc., etc. But we don't have very many details on that one compared to some of the other like deserts and stuff. But this basically, it's kind of like a savanna prairie style of thing. And really the reason that it's important is because it's a connection area. It's an area where you have trade between the different races, communications between the allies. And much like in real history, where certain relatively insignificant pieces of land have been fought over again and again in history because they connect other more important areas. So that's the key to the Barrens here, is that it's an area where you can move a lot of stuff through, like how we have the special caravan cards. That's an example here. There's lots of caravans that travel through the Barrens on various different businesses. So that's one of the special card types for you right there, fully explained.
Interesting. Hey, there you go. Okay.
There's an achievement for those too.
Oh. See? The more you know, right?
Yeah, start your turn with a caravan in play.
So that Silverhand caravan, they're carrying bricks of. Never mind. Keep going. So they're making trade. Hey. Anyway.
Well, not all of them are trading. Like for the dwarven one for the hunters, prospectors. This is something that's not really featured very much in the core set. Maybe I'll touch on it in the mini set. I don't know, but there's like some the dwarves tend to like to do a lot of archaeology, looking for ancient Titan ruins, and there's some in the Barrens, and so that's kind of what that one's going for. Pretty much all the paladin cards are connected to an area we'll talk about near the end of the podcast. But if you notice, a couple areas are marked out on the map. There's one that's called Northwatch. There's a place called the Crossroads. There's a place called Razorfen. And those are all key areas that are particularly on the map that we'll be diving a little bit more into overall. But now I think it's time for us to go into the first of the major Horde races here, the Darkspear Trolls, that are relevant to the Barrens area.
All right. So yeah, we've got a couple of cards that represent these. We see it in like the Barrens Trader. We see it in Darkspear Berserker. Where, and again, this is where I love, like, I didn't even realize this until we started researching for the lore episode. I'm sitting here looking at the Darkspear Berserker, and then I pull up the artwork for the Darkspear Trolls, and like, dude, they match. Like, what? The art team is so great. Like, I love seeing these when there's like card art that matches the WoW art. And if you had never played, like, you just wouldn't know this. And it's these like fine details that are just super cool. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Something that I really appreciate. It's like, I love the art in Hearthstone. I love the art style in WoW. I love collecting all of the art books. As soon as a new one comes out for Hearthstone, I either get it right away or it instantly goes on wish list for Christmas or birthday or whenever I have an opportunity for someone to give me things. But yeah, I love the art, and it does go really well, once again, for these Darkspear Trolls, just like it does for a lot of things. So the Darkspear are a particular tribe of troll. There are so many different ones. And as I mentioned, Rastakan's Rumble was kind of an expansion where a lot of different ones were featured. They originally were part of one massive troll empire that was the dominant power, like many thousands of years ago on Azeroth. But they kind of split up into their own separate troll kingdoms. Some of them did well. Most of them pretty much dwindled over the years. And so a lot of trolls kind of have an obsession with reclaiming our past power and glory. And so most trolls are hostile to pretty much all non-trolls. You have like the Amani, the Gurubashi, the Zandalari, the Drakari. Most of them end with I. The Darkspear are a much smaller tribe that is more amiable with other races. They are actually members of the Horde, while other trolls would tend to not want to have anything to do with the Horde for the most part, because they kind of have a racial superiority thing a lot of the time. But the Darkspear are pretty chill as far as trolls go. They are initially from a small island where they, believe it or not, were completely under threat by Murlocs. I'm not entirely certain how. Although the Murlocs were commanded by a Naga Sea Witch, so I guess that empowered them or something. But yeah, so they were doing really bad, and then the Horde came along and helped to free them. And the guy who was leading them was named Senjin. And he's like, yeah, we should totally team up here. We'll join your Horde. And they eventually moved to that area I mentioned called the Echo Isles. Now, Senjin died, but then we move on to his son who succeeded him, who is a legendary set, Vol'jin. Well, technically, this is his second round of being a legendary, because he was a legendary in Goblins and Gnomes. I get back before they decided to try to make every legendary fit in with the thematics, because he doesn't really have anything to do with Goblins and Gnomes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this one they focus on him as a shadow hunter. Now, Vol'jin has a long story like a lot of major characters, and we can't go into it now because we'll be here forever, and we're trying to keep these episodes on a reasonable level of time. But this card focuses on his role as a shadow hunter. So we'll just talk a little bit about that. A shadow hunter is a master of voodoo, which is basically like special troll magic connected to the Loa. Again, Rastakhan's Rumble. Pretty much we'll reference anything with that set when we're talking about trolls. Remember all the Loa cards. Yep, like Shivala, like Rawl, like Gonk, Akali, just all of those powerful spirits that the trolls worship and have close bonds to, and can give them a lot of power. A shadow hunter is like one of the most powerful levels that a troll can reach. Back in the ancient troll empires, they used to basically be kind of the rulers. Now they're more like kind of the heroic mythic level champions of the trolls. They can bless, they can curse, they be light and shadow, whatever they think is necessary to protect their people and advance the well-being of their tribe. And so Vol'jin here is a powerful shadow hunter. He has a very strong connection with his Loa, which actually is Bwan Samdi, if you remember Bwan Samdi card. Yeah. So, he has a strong connection with the Loa, and so he's a powerful shadow hunter, and that is what this card is representing, that aspect of him.
Ah, that's cool. That's super cool. I'm going to have to pull up the old Rastakhan's Rumble cards now, too, and take a look at those.
Yeah. So then, moving on from the trolls, we're going to talk about the orcs. Well, we have a couple different categories of orcs to talk about. First, we're going to talk about the orcs of the Horde. So as I said, Durotar is one of the lands that borders on the Barrens. That's where the capital city of the whole Horde is, and the capital city of the orc race in particular, which is Orgrimmar. And the orcs are rather militaristic a lot of the time, because they come from a world which is very savage. Their whole instinct, their whole culture is around fight to survive. They have some of them can be more noble about it and filled. Some of them can be a bit more sinister and backstabbing, but they overall have a culture that is very much about fighting, because that's just the world that their race originated in. Yeah. Which is why the Horde tends to be the ones to instigate a lot of conflicts between the factions with the Alliance, because you're more likely to get some bad apple leaders from a culture like that than from a more peaceful one. But at any rate, so we have a lot of cards in the Barrens set, and we're not going to show them all here. But we have our Morshan Elite and our War Song here, and just two examples of some of the strong military forces that originate from Orgrimmar, and they're basically out here in the Barrens to, you might say, protect the Horde's interests, make sure that, some caravans are protected, make sure that any threats from the Barrens, whether it be the Alliance in the Barrens, or whether it's some of the native creatures like the Quillboar or any other things that we'll talk about in a little bit, you want to stop them out in the Barrens before they make their way to your home city. So there's a lot of Horde military forces of various sorts that are out here in the Barrens as well, that a lot of these cards represent.
Nice.
And then we move on to another legendary, who is a very legendary orc.
Yeah.
Varrock Sarfang, Overlord Sarfang, as he's titled in this. And again, a character with quite the story of his own that would take forever for us to tell. But maybe someday we'll have a Lore Masters episode on it.
Right.
But yeah,
I saw this pop up, and I was like, "Sweet, 10-hour episode! Like we can spend 2 hours on Vol'jin and another 2 hours on Sourfang, and then but anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
If anyone wants a bit more detail, you can always check out my lore guides, where I write a little bit more about this than I have time to talk about here. But basically, Sarfang is he's like as much of a veteran orc warrior as you can get. He was part of the original Horde when it was founded, even before they came to Azeroth. He has fought in campaign after campaign. He actually was very respected by both the Horde and Alliance, to the extent that when they had to lead an attack against Cthulhu, the old god, they needed to have this massive army joining the factions called the Might of Kalimdor, and they chose Sarfang to lead it because he was actually respected by both the Alliance and the Horde. And they're like, okay, this is like the one guy that everybody here can trust.
That's rad.
Yeah, and he had a son who got killed by the Lich King and became a Death Knight, who you encounter in the Frozen Throne solo adventure, Deathbringer Sarfang. That's his son, and poor Varrock was very broken up about all that. Having to fight his undead son.
Well, I need to replay that now. Like knowing this, like okay,
yeah,
it's been years. All right, that's cool.
That sounds cool.
I love that Arcanite Reaper.
Yes, he is one of the more prominent. It's sort of like the Arcanite Reaper is just a type of axe. It's not a specific, like a legendary weapon variety, but Sarfang is what you might call a celebrity endorsement of the Arcanite Reaper brand. So yeah, he in fact he was famous for his cleaving ability in Warcraft. If you had like PvP with players from the Alliance who wanted to invade the Horde, and if they had to fight him, he was famous for being able to just do massive sweeps and just like taking out so many people with axe blows at once. And that's kind of reflected in his card abilities here. How he just does damage to all other minions.
Mm-hmm.
And he
that's good flavor.
Yeah, he kind of served as sort of the representative of the orcs at various times in Horde politics if someone like Thrall wasn't available. And then he eventually sacrificed his life in a duel against Sylvanas Windrunner when she was war chief and caused a lot of problems for the Horde. But that's a whole other story. But yes, that's Sarfang. He's a really guy. A lot of respect for him on that. But moving on from him, we have another notable to talk about, but he's notable for entirely different reasons. Not because he's wicked, but because he is of really minor importance, but large meme importance.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. Mancrick here. So Mancrick is a very minor character, just a quest giver in the Barrens, but he became rather notable in the early days of the game, because in the early days of World of Warcraft, there weren't any quest markers. And since the quest is to find Mancrick's dead wife, the Barrens was a massive zone. They actually had to cut it in half. So if you play the game today and you don't play the classic mode, it's northern and southern Barrens. But back then, it was just the most massive zone in the game, I think.
Oh, wow.
And so you have players who are running around looking for one dead body, like in tall grass, could be anywhere in this zone.
Wait, sorry, can I interrupt you real quick? What was the quest? So like when you run into Mancrick, like what is his...
Find his wife.
So that's what he would say. Hey, my wife is missing. Can you help me find my wife?
Yeah. Okay. They were separated when they were attacked by Quillbore, and he has no clue where she is. And so he tasks you with finding her. And so everyone was just always be chatting in the community chats. Like, does anyone know where Mancrick's wife is? I can't find her. And it became rather infamous. Mancrick's wife kind of basically became a term to mean something that you just can't find in the game, or something along those lines.
Thank goodness for Questy, the app that shows you where all those things.
Yeah, and this is another one where the flavor, the mechanics matches so well, because once you find his wife, he realizes that she was killed by the Quillbore, and he is just filled with rage and obsessed with killing Quillbore for that day on. So that's why when you draw the card of his wife, he summons up and he's just in a rage and he charges at your opponents, and he's saying things like, "Give me their tusks," because he wants you to kill all the Quillbore inventions for them.
So gangster.
Yeah.
I love it when he attacks. He goes, "Ogra!" or when you draw the card. When you draw the card, the flavor is so good.
Oh yeah, yeah. That is one of my favorites flavor wise. And like I said, he's not a significant character in the grand scheme of the lore, but he's like an amazing meme in the community, and I'm so happy to see him given homage in this set, because that's fun.
Yeah, that's really cool to see. Like Leroy Jenkins, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Basically a meme.
Well, yeah, Leroy Jenkins is actually a meme that originated from a YouTube video. Yeah. Later on, they decided to make a character based on the game or a character. But yeah. So now we move on to something of even less notable, but very, very dependable, very important for all of your backbreaking labor needs. Nate, I know that you've talked about this guy in the past. Did you talk about your experience with the peon?
Time to work. Zug. So, yeah, the peon dates back to like Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3. Like, this is your basic ground unit that does all of the building. They do all of the harvesting. So like, hey, you need to chop down trees. These dudes chop down the trees. They get the gold out of the mine. They build the buildings. Your building catches on fire. They fix it. And it's great because like they've been around forever. When you click on them, they say funny things. And throughout the games, like
you're doing. What do you want?
Work. The voice lines are so funny and so cute, and it's all that. It's just like that, Zug. And the classic line, like it's been in Hearthstone since day one. Like if you've got like say turn 1 and you've got no 1-drops, like you hear it, you go, job's done. Like okay.
Yep.
And
so the peon has actually been in Hearthstone from the very start.
Right.
It's just now coming out as a card though.
I love it.
At work, whenever I get an email where someone asks me if there's something particular has been completed or not, I honestly respond with "job's done" every time. Job's done.
They call you up and say something you're doing.
Not yet. Only one person has caught on. It just happened the other day, a week ago. A guy's like, every time you respond with "job's done," I think of Warcraft. Yep. It's been years. Finally, one person.
Nice.
Damn,
Then they get invited to this secret VIP club.
Right?
Yeah.
For figuring it out. But yeah, so the peon is your basic laborer who's not very bright, kind of the more brawn than brain type of character. But they're your lumberjack, your construction worker, your farmer. Really, they deserve a lot of credit for the amazing variety of physical labor they're able to do. I wouldn't be able to do pretty much any of that. Hooray for the blue collar orc worker.
Me not that kind of orc.
But yeah, so that's the peon. And then we have our next section here where we're getting into another special card type for this set, the watch post, because these also have a specific reason why they're there. I think the cards are pretty cool on their own with the way that they mess with your opponent, but they actually have a specific reference because, like I said, with the Horde military, they have all of these watch posts here in order to keep an eye on things, make sure trouble doesn't start in the Barrens that's going to disrupt the trade, threaten their allies, threaten their home city. And so they have all these outposts that serve that purpose, various types of garrisons and such.
Okay, it's kind of like ladder. Make sure nothing goes off. You know what I'm saying? They're watching out, making sure things are cool.
Yep. And the legendary that goes with these guys, Cargill Battlescar, is a minion who, the card, he has synergy with the outposts. But in lore, in the game, he is in charge of one of the areas. He's a quest giver who is basically saying, there's some trouble. There's some Quillbore who's been threatening the settlement. They've been disrupting the caravans. I need your help to deal with them. And so he's basically one of the guys in charge. It's not a glamorous job, kind of, stuck out in the middle of nowhere. It's not like you're a general in Orgrimmar or something. But he takes it very seriously. He knows that, if there's a threat here that goes unchecked, it could cause a lot of trouble down the road. So he's very dedicated to his job.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You said that something about Mankrik made me think of what you just said with this guy. So he's in charge of this area with the watch posts.
He's in charge of one of the watch posts. Not all of them. Everyone has their own individual.
Sorry.
But yeah, they just picked him to represent commander of watch posts in Hearthstone for this expansion.
Got it. So does he have? Sorry, Nate, get that Murgle ready. So does he have? For Quillbore, just like Mankrik?
He doesn't have the personal vendetta that Mankrik has, but yeah, they are a huge pest as far as he's concerned that can become a very dangerous threat, and they have to be driven back, eliminated, whatever. These things sound crazy. Okay. Now we'll get to Quillbore in just a little bit, but they are one of the chief threats in the Barrens. Like, nobody likes Quillbore.
That's funny.
Wow.
All right, so moving on to our last category of orcs here, we have a group, a specific tribe of orcs, a clan called the Burning Blade Clan. Now, this clan basically is the martial artists of the orcs. One of the characters is called Samuro. It's obviously a direct reference to samurai. So that they're very, with the blade masters, they'd coat their swords in these flammable pitches and stuff. And they generally wouldn't set them on fire. What they liked to do was have their amazing moves in the heat of battle with the friction, light the swords on fire so that it would be completely random and unpredictable and completely throw their enemies off guard. You're fighting someone and their sword just bursts into flames. They're like, whoa, what the heck is going on? Mm-hmm. So yeah, they were like elite crack team squad units, like special forces of the Horde armies when it first got started. The way of the Blade Master was ancient before the Horde was even formed. These guys are some serious deals. Just one little problem is that when the Horde got formed, it was basically because Gul'dan was manipulating into serving the demons of the Burning Legion. And so most of them kind of drank demon blood and got completely corrupted about stuff. That's kind of the whole origin story of the Horde. And some members embrace the corruption, others want to, make up for the crimes of when they were corrupted. But the Burning Blade clan is kind of split down the middle on that. Samuro is a noble blade master who was on a personal quest for honor and redemption to purge the clan of its corruption, to redeem his clan, because he views that sort of thing very shamefully. On the other hand, our other legendary here, we have Niru here. He's a sneak traitor, because what he did is after Thrall became the war chief and reformed it into a non-corrupted horde, the corrupted members of the Burning Blade clan, they like really embrace the whole serving demons type of stuff, and so they actually are enemies of the horde. They want to re-corrupt and enslave the horde. And Niru here is a warlock who basically tried to infiltrate Thrall's inner circle as an advisor. His whole thing is, hey, not all warlocks are bad guys. I have a lot of great information about demons that you can know. You can identify and recognize and know how to fight against the demons. It'll be great. No, I'm gonna prove to you that warlocks can totally be good guys. Just ironic because he was actually completely demon corrupted and working to try to overthrow Thrall with the other corrupted orcs of his clan, answering to a group called the Shadow Council. But the joke was actually on him because Thrall was aware that he was like the sneak double agent traitor.
The whole time he knew?
Keep your friends close and your basically what he's doing here. And so he basically players, adventurers kind of get sent to thwart his plans. But he survived because Thrall kept him around, never let him know that. And I wonder if Niru was thinking, like, why do all of my plans keep on failing? He never caught on, I guess.
Oh, that's good.
Ironically, he died after Garrosh became the war chief, because Garrosh was obsessed with the purity of the horde. That meant partially racial purity. He was like, orcs only here. None of you other guys. You're all lesser beings. I want a pure orc horde here. Garrosh was very racist, but he was against the demonic corruption of the horde. He hated warlocks, and so he actually went and just if you play a raid called Siege of Orgrimmar, which is basically the point in the story where everyone is fighting back against Garrosh's tyranny and trying to overthrow him, you actually see Niru and a bunch of other warlocks. They've been hung inside a cave called the Shadow Cleft where they operated. So you literally see it. Niru, it wasn't the adventurers thwarting his plans that killed him. It was Garrosh Hellscream, who literally hung the guy as an example with a bunch of other warlocks. Where there's going to be no foul magic in my horde. So that's kind of metal, I guess.
Don't get caught in the wrong neighborhood.
So that's the Burning Blade clan. But you have a few the blade masters like Samuro, who are the noble ones trying to get rid of the corruption.
That's funny.
And that sums up all the orc categories that we're talking about here.
All right.
Now, after talking about them for a while here, we finally get to Quillbore.
All right.
What's your guys' first impression when you look at a Quillbore?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it looks like a big. Quillbore is such a good description. It's a big warthog with like spikes all over it, right?
Yep, it's like mix a razorback hog, a warthog, and a porcupine together with a humanoid, and you basically have a Quillbore here. Like many animal races on Azeroth, anthropomorphic animal type of races. They trace their origins back to what we call one of the wild gods, kind of nature spirits who are in tune with Azeroth. Now, we don't know specifically if these races were like spawned from these wild gods or created by them or what, but they actually trace their origins back to a great boar one who died in the War of the Ancients 10,000 years ago, fighting against a demon invasion. And he had abilities where he could, like, shoot thorns out of his body.
Oh.
And yeah. And there was a big thorn theme going on there. And eventually he fell after he was killed by demons. And his body became what's called Razorfen. Just a bunch of thorny spines grew up all around it. And that's where the Quillboar made their capital city. That's where they live. So one of those areas in the map that I mentioned at the start, Razorfen, that is where these guys live. That's their headquarters. And it's where a lot of stuff goes on and having to fight against them.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the they were a big threat against the Horde. Were kind of ranging from pests to major threats, depending on the day and how strong they were. But ironically, things got worse when they ended up allying with the Scourge. You remember the Scourge, right?
Oh, yes,
Undead,
yes.
Lich King, all that stuff. So yeah, they ended up under the command of a lich named Ahrimourn the Coldbringer. And there you basically have pig Death Knights.
Whoa!
That became the Death's Head cult. So the cards that's like Death's Head Cultist. And there are other ones who are not Death Knights, and those are the ones that like the cards that say Razorfen, this and that. So those are basically the two categories. But the Death's Head is basically the leaders here for a while. And eventually the Lich was killed, but Liches don't really die unless their phylactery is destroyed. It's a container that their spirit returns to and can reform. And so after Ahrimourn, the Coldbringer, died, there was a new leader that rose up to lead the Death's Head cultists, who is the legendary, on our next slide here, Death Speaker Blackthorn. So yeah, like super uber pig Death Knight.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like that he kind of slaughtered his way up to the top of the ranks of the cult. And he heard these dark whispers inside of his head, just basically like, you can have endless riches. You can have ultimate power. Just free me from this stupid phylactery already. Which was the Lich, of course. And so Death Speaker Blackthorn attempted to reinforce the forces at Razorfen and perform a ritual that'll bring the Lich back. And that's the theme of one of the dungeons at Razorfen, where as the player, you have to join the party of other players to stop him from doing that, because that's really bad.
Is that Razorfen Crawl?
Razorfen Crawl and Razorfen Down are two different sections of Razorfen. It's actually the body of the boar god who died, whose name I actually have trouble pronouncing, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so and they hold it with great reverence, and but ironically, his spirit is one of the things that helps to encourage you to stop them, because their ancestor spirit of the boar god is actually very noble. And he doesn't like what the Quillboar. Okay, eliminate these corrupt leaders, then maybe they'll finally intended them to be in the first place. But the Death's Head is basically the complete opposite of that. And our next card is one of the bosses in that dungeon, actually, the mage card, Modrish Fire Eye.
We were talking about metal, right, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's awesome.
This guy's literally themed as like a metal rock star or something for whatever reason.
I'm really curious about this. Like, yeah, does this guy play guitar on ETC's band or what? Because like I love them.
but he is that is kind of when you fight him in the dungeon. It's his boss fight is themed like that. Basically, he is insane. He was a shaman in life, and which is kind of ironic. It's a mage card, but he was originally a shaman. But fire. He's a pyromaniac, basically. Completely insane, deranged, has a corrupt and unstable connection to the elements from being raised into undeath by a Death Speaker Blackthorn, by the way. The Death Speaker Blackthorn is the one who raised this guy into undeath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how about that?
So a very strong connection there. And so, he doesn't really have much story outside of that, but I think his whole thing about being pyromaniac and just flinging fire everywhere as he's playing a guitar on top of his mountain of skulls. It's rather well represented in the card with just because the hero power is obviously fireball for mage by default, and so you have a ton of fire damage, and he's like fire everywhere.
That's awesome. Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
This is the flavor is so good. This guy's so metal with all his he's got leather and studs and the big guitar and the guitar's kind of an axe. Oh my god.
Yeah,
so
that's one of the really fun things about Hearthstone, and Hearthstone even more so leans into this, where it has the balance between kind of serious fantasy elements and storylines that you kind of grab from all sorts of different cultures, mythologies, literature, and you throw it all in a blender. But they also throw in a lot of lightheartedness, silliness, and pop culture type of things as well. So it's just this great balance that they strike in this particular world that they've created in the games. So now let's move on to another race aside from the Cold War that's a big threat to the Horde in the Barrens, the Centaur. Now, the Centaur are... Well, you know what? I'll give you guys a chance to make a wild guess here. The Centaur have an interesting origin story. I'll let you give a random guess as to what you think it could possibly be.
I say, hey, the birds and the bees. I mean, there's a man and a horse were, out in the field one day, and just let you take it from there.
That's actually closer than you might think.
Strange things on Twitch.
Were they stranded on a tropical island together, and they just got real bored?
No, it wasn't,
gross.
It wasn't a man and a horse. But it was a strange union. They are the bastard children between a son of Cenarius and an earth elemental princess.
Okay.
So basically a huge lady made entire and a guy who basically just looks like Cenarius here. And they had a very unorthodox union. Normally, you don't do that sort of thing. That has a strange mix of the aggressiveness of raw elementals, but kind of the form that you see, like Cenarius has, and his children had, dryads have, where you have the human form on top of a four-legged creature as the body. Dryads tend to look like deer, and Cenarius has that type of look. But the Centaur are just really, really aggressive. They actually kind of ended up killing their dad by mistake, just because they're really aggressive. And they have been huge problems for the Tauren. Actually, if you may recall, if you remember to the Book of Heroes with Rexar, one of the quests is that you have to rescue Bane when he's a young child who has been kidnapped by the Centaur, who, by the way, can be cannibalistic and very likely will eat him if Rexar does not rescue him. That they're basically competing for the same land as the Tauren, just absolute savages. Kind of the minds, the mentalities of brutes a lot of the time. Huge problem. One of the core enemies that you'll fight aside from Krulbor in the Barrens. And our Hunter Legendary is a leader of one group of centaurs in the Barrens here. This is one of those characters. He doesn't have much individual lore. He's more like a quest objective that here's a tougher guy that you need to group up with some other players to take down. But Barat Kodobane is basically a new leader who rose up among a certain clan of centaur and organized them so that they became a bit more of a direct threat. And it's basically one of those take out the smart leader and they'll just become disorganized and they won't be as much of a threat to the Torrent. So that's about all the lore that he has there. He really he shoots arrows, he throws nets. I'm guessing maybe the flavor could represent like a quiver full of arrows or something, but there's a very weak connection here overall. It's kind of just one of those, hey, let's show off the centaur angle of the Barrens a bit more. And, we could have one as a legendary, and let's just give him this effect because it'll be good for the game or something.
This card is amazing in Priest. Awesome. I swear to you. In that Lyra deck I talked about earlier, miracle spell, discover a card in your opponent's hand. This happened to be there. I had two Bloodweavers, play a bunch of zeros, make this cost 0, play it, draw a bunch of spells. It's on Twitch. I'll find a clip later. But it sucks that that's all his lore is.
Yeah.
He just shoots arrows. Green arrow.
That's great. You know what? Since day one, when I saw this card, like I looked at it, Barack Kodobane, I was like, Barack Kodobama. I'm just saying, like it's so like,
a Kodo is a type of animal that actually is in a couple Hearthstone cards, like Stampeding Kodo and such.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rhinoceros-like animal that the Tauren domesticate, and it's their mounts, and a lot of them run wild in the Barrens. So basically, this guy gets his name because he's an accomplished hunter who has killed many Kodo. He's a centaur, big game hunter in a sense, you might say, as far as his people's concerned.
Gotcha.
That's it. That's inside of his name. Yeah. So moving on, we move to a last core category of kind of the monster races that you might say that are in the Barrens, the Harpies.
Mm-hmm.
So Harpies are the corrupted children of Aviana. You guys remember Aviana, right?
Oh, how could we forget?
The music that comes down. The music of death.
My winged children fill the skies.
Yeah. And the game is over that no one ever wanted to play.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so basically she is another one of those wild gods that I was talking about, and she's basically, in charge of winged creatures. She has that affinity, and the Harpies are like her children, her kind of the race that comes from her, but most of them are very corrupted. They are very wicked a lot. They have a lot of powerful magic, often of the elemental variety, and they're just the worst. They'll turn things to stone. They have all sorts of different ways that they can cause trouble. And there's a particular group of them called the Witchwing who are out in the Barrens right now. And the leader of that one particular group is our legendary for the priest, Serana Bloodfeather. Again, don't really have much particular lore on her per se, but she's actually the sister of the previous matron of the Harpies, of the Witchwing Harpies in the Barrens. That's the way they organize. They're all female. There's no male Harpies. And don't ask me how they reproduce.
Oh man!
Sorry, in Mass Effect or something, I don't know. But
it's going everywhere.
but yeah, so Brexar actually killed the previous matron, who is Serana's sister, and they are kind of very much out for revenge against the Horde for the death of that previous matron, who was just called Bloodfeather. And so that's kind of their little story in the Barrens, such as it is. It's like Rexar killed previous leader, and so we're out for vengeance against the Horde. They might. There's nothing in particular that about them life steal abilities like in the card, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did have powers like that. Some of them carry some things called blood shards, which some of the Quillbore also carry. It's actually one of the Quillbore cards that its blood shard is right in the name. And so that's a type of magic that maybe I can see that they might steal some life force to weaken you or empower themselves. So yeah, that's kind of the deal of the Harpies and that legendary in Forged in the Barrens.
Cool.
So now we have our rogue legendary here, Apothecary Hellbrim. Now, the Royal Apothecary Society is a group of mainly Forsaken who live in Undercity, which is the capital city of the undead, under Sylvanas until very recently. And they're basically the plague doctors. Not doctors who help to cure you from the plague, doctors who make plagues. So basically, at some point in 2020, the Royal Apothecary Society crossed dimensions into our world and just caused a whole lot of trouble. We're still feeling the ramifications of those darn Forsaken, but they aren't always bad. Many of them are very sinister and just delight in creating new diseases that will kill people, often raising them dead themselves. But they can create potions that can be beneficial. They can create poisons that, well, it's not beneficial for whoever gets stabbed or injected with them, but for you, if you buy them to help your weapons, they're beneficial for you against your enemies.
I see.
And Apothecary Hellbrim here is a member of the Royal Apothecary Society who is in the Barrens, who is looking for some rare reagents, like various types of mushrooms and plants and such that he can use to turn into, experiment with, turn into new types of potions and poisons. And so that's kind of his role here, why he'll give you the random poisons. It's like, he's experimenting with all of the different things here in the Barrens, and, let's see what comes out. What can we use this for?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Fun. It reminds me of Mad Scientist a little bit, or we compared this card to like Zero, but like
good take.
Yeah, the card itself reminds me of Mad Scientist. Is there any sort of relationship there, or no?
Well, most Mad Scientists are they would either be a member of society, or they would be members of the Scourge and working for the Lich King to develop plagues over there. So I can't tell you for definitively which is which. There's a cards that carry that Mad Scientist theme, like there's Kooky Chemist and
Professor Putricide.
Professor Putricide is the head for the Scourge, working under the Lich King to develop a plague of undeath that'll destroy the world and such. But so he's not with he's not related to the Apothecary Society that this card is here. Okay. But yes, they're very similar. Okay. It's just kind of who are they working for, to put it simply.
Okay, interesting. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And now we come to our last. So most of this has been entirely focused on the Horde here, because this is Horde territory. But the Alliance does have a foothold here called Northwatch. This is basically their fortress, where they keep an eye on things, try to make some incursions into Horde lands when there's on. And this is basically their stronghold. And so we have it's the theme for paladins here. We have characters like Northwatch Commander, and other ones that have Northwatch in there. And yeah, that's basically various soldiers and medics and defenders, basically kind of the representing the spectrum of the forces who are operating out of this particular fortress here.
So when Cannon Master Smith's the secrets turn into minions, that's their Northwatch minions. So that's what the token is from. It's pretty cool.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the last legendary that we're talking about. Canon Master Smith is not a character who really has story, but there is a little funny thing behind his name there, because he's also teamed up with a fellow cannoneer named Cannoneer Wesson, and they are named after Smith & Wesson Weaponry, which is a company. Blizzard likes to make a lot of pun and reference names like that, which I can't blame them when you have so many NPCs who give quests and that you need to give unique names for. Why not just look around at, like, you know, the name, the products that you're using and turn them into puns? I mean, I'd probably do that if I had to name that many characters, and I love naming things.
It's so fun.
It's interesting from a legal perspective. Like, I wonder, you know, if it's a parody, it's one thing, but like, it's such a throw to, like, okay, Smith & Wesson Firearms, like, okay, well, they're cannoneers, so like, I guess it makes sense, right? That they're but like, you know, it's, you know, I'd have to throw this to somebody else, but like, I wonder how many times, you know, I'm curious, do they reach out and say, hey, we want to name our characters after you, like, we'll spell it different? Or
I doubt it.
It's free advertising, man.
Yeah. Hey, I do have a legit question. In the game, they're called cannoneers. So, right, so I have Cannoneer Smith, Cannoneer Wesson, and in the card they call him Cannon Master. And so, like, why did they change that? Like, not that it matters, but I'm just
does that sometimes. I don't know. My guess is that maybe they think something's easier to pronounce or more instantly recognizable as to what it means if you're familiar with Warcraft. I can't think of any other specific examples right off the top of my head, but I know there are other examples in Hearthstone where a title is adjusted a bit or something is spelled maybe just a little bit differently. And I'm not on the team, so I can't really say why they decided to do that. But in this sense, they chose to have him Cannon Master to emphasize that he is a commander of these cannoneers here. He's not just one of the people who's firing the cannons. He's in charge of this of the defenses of the fortress.
I mean, Cannon Master's a little more legendary sounding than Cannoneer.
That's true.
Yes,
100%. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's probably what we're going for here. And the thing about the turning the secrets into the soldiers is likely, you know, like, oh, see, we've got some secret weapons or some secret hidden forces here, and that's what it's representing in the card. That's my best guess for showing how he's in the command of all of these and, like, unleash our secret weapons. That sort of thing.
I'm almost surprised that they didn't, you know, do something like the existing, like, ship's cannon or something where it's like firing out cannonballs. But I like the flavor here.
That would be pretty awesome.
But
I like Hydra steak.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. You know, the dudes in the tavern. What's up, girl? Nah, I know about you cannoneers. Nah, sorry.
I want the Cannon Master.
Cannon Master. I like it. I like it over here. The flavor.
Oh, no. The cannoneers work for me.
They can afford you to buy your drink. I can afford to buy you. Right here, next to the hearth.
Oh, that's great. Oh my god.
So yeah, that's the basic overview of the various types of cards. There's, we're not touching on every single card. Some of them would have a significant, like, oh, this is a reference to that orc clan or this troll tribe or, you know, that particular platoon of soldiers. But we're not going to dive into all of that here. This should give everyone just enough in knowledge to have a smattering of the, like I said, the tour guide sense of the expansion. You can see, you know, now you know what all the basic races are and kind of where everyone plays, their relations. And I hope that this inspires people to maybe want to try out some particular combinations of characters that they might not have thought of beforehand.
Love it. Hey, one quick thing. Since we have a couple of extra minutes here, do you have any hot takes or predictions on what would be to come from the mini set later? Just knowing what you know about the Barrens, like the region, because like we saw with I remember when we did lore for Darkmoon Faire, right? And we were talking about the lore, and you're like, well, there's these main characters, and there's one character that is pretty big that is like missing from this, and so what is it? The wolf, like, was it Moonfang? I think it was.
Moonfang, yep.
And so I remember very specifically you saying like, they didn't add Moonfang in this, and so I wouldn't be too surprised if that one's coming in the mini set. And you called it, right? And so I wonder if there's something here that, like, okay, I heard like the spoiler thing from Hearthstone, and we don't need to go down there if I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read that article.
I have no idea.
But your own personal hot take, like, are there key characters or minions or things that are like strangely absent from this set that you think might be touched on later?
So actually, the rumor leaker actually touches on something that I would have predicted anyway. Looking back at the map here, you see there are a couple areas around the center. One of them is on the side. It's called Ratchet. That is referenced in one or two of the cards. Ratchet is sort of it's a goblin port, officially neutral. You might remember there's Ratchet Privateer, the goblin lady pirate. And so that's actually where Gazlo was. If you guys remember Gazlo from Goblins,
dude.
This is his place. This is an area that he was in charge of. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that might touch a bit on that. Maybe we could see a new version of Gazlo. They like to do that with a lot of characters. Like we got with Vol'jin, who was also in Goblin.
It's mostly goblins that are in Ratchet, right? If I recall correctly.
Mostly, yes. Yeah. But then the main thing that I would say probably is the thing that the leak or what have you did touch on, which is that spot right in the middle, the Wailing Caverns. This is one of the first dungeons in the history of Warcraft. It's pretty famous because of that. It's a maze. A lot of people find their way through it. There's a lot of different bosses in there. Basically, the story behind that is that it's kind of some haunted caverns that a group of druids went into in an attempt to kind of pacify it and make it habitable and peaceful. But they fell into what's called the Emerald Nightmare, which is a corrupted version of the Emerald Dream, the Emerald Dream is basically this ethereal realm of pure nature that is connected to Azeroth, that a lot of druids spend time in and draw their power from. But the old gods worked their way into it and corrupted part of it. It's called the Emerald Nightmare. And all of that kind of plays into some druids who have become trapped. Actually, we keep on going back to goblins and gnomes here. Do any of you remember a druid card that turns into a snake?
Oh, yeah.
I can't quite remember what it's called right now.
It's the... Yeah.
Fail or something? I don't know. Can't remember right now. But anyway, there's a lot like that, kind of druids who have gone crazy and they've taken on a snake form. Actually, the final boss...
It's Druid of the Fang.
Yeah, Druid of the Fang, that's it. So actually, the final boss of the dungeon is when you're trying to wake up the head druid to rouse him from the nightmare. You have to fight a manifestation of the dark forces of the nightmare that have formed into his greatest fear. Guess what his greatest fear is?
Oh, God. Insert Indiana Jones quote here.
Not snakes.
Oh, I was wrong. Sad.
Murloc.
He's leader. Yes, Murlocs.
Oh, how funny.
All the forms when he's this great force of darkness, it manifesting into his greatest fear, you have to fight a giant
Murloc. Oh my God.
That's the final boss of the Wailing Caverns.
It's so funny. My wife just did
a mega thing.
My wife just did Wailing Caverns for the first time yesterday. First time ever. And she was getting so frustrated. It was really funny. And yeah,
No,
no,
so is this-
I had to keep helping her out with it. It was just super funny. Yes, I love that big Murloc.
Yeah, so that's something that I think, it's something that's notably absent. If you look at the map here, and like I said, Ratchet is touched on a little bit. It's not something super major, but I think they could potentially maybe do it a little bit with it. But Wailing Caverns is what I would think, because it's such an iconic dungeon. It's something that would probably warrant getting its own mini set focusing on it. So I think I would think that was very likely, even if we hadn't had rumors and leaks of various sorts that would hint that that's probably what we're going to get.
Did the giant?
So I would predict various bosses and characters like the druids that you're trying to assist. Probably characters from those would very likely end up as legendary minions for that set.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because we've seen them do callbacks to earlier archetypes, like this beast druid, or like druid cards with beast tags that they were pushing a long time ago, and then they stopped, and now there's a couple that are back. And so that makes sense. And then we've seen a bunch of Murloc Shaman support this set as well, that if they're about to drop another Murloc legendary, like hey, I mean, the timing it would be spot on in terms of lore tie-in, right?
So, absolutely.
I like that. Okay. Hey, the things that hot takes right here. I love it. I missed it. Was the giant Murloc like raid boss? Did it have a name, or was it just a giant Murloc? Like
it does have a name. I think I can't remember.
Mutanus the Devourer.
Is it Megafin?
No, it's not. Megafin is a Hearthstone original creation from.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I believe it's Mutanus the Devourer.
Oh.
Yes, Mutanus the Devourer. And actually, if I can quickly find the description of it, I think it's slightly hubris. Let me just do a quick.
Oh, he's like all white, like a ghost or something. Like I see the picture here. I'll pull it up. Okay, wait. Sorry, you guys cut out for 2 seconds, but I found the picture here. Let me pull it up, because it's funny. Like, it doesn't look like a normal Murloc. It looks like he's all white, like a ghost or something. Look at that. That's a creepy Murloc right there.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. So his
What the hell? I'd be scared too.
his description in the says, from the darkest corners of Narlix's twisted mind, the corruption plaguing the Emerald Dream has manifested in the form of the Druid's worst enemy, Murlocs. The aberration to liberate Narlex from the nightmare's clutches. Narlex is the name of the druid you're trying to wake up.
Okay.
As Ahrimourn points out in chat, it looks like Pennywise the Murloc.
Yeah. Oh, and get this. It says that is also a potential memory. So you guys remember Argent Confessor Paltris from the Grand Tournament, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I opened the golden last week.
Oh, nice.
What?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, yeah, I saw that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So she's that dungeon boss in the fight of the Crusade, which is a dungeon, and her thing is why her card summons random legendaries is because she is summoning memories of past monstrosities that you have defeated as part of your test in the arena, and this is one of the ones that she can summon.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
Yeah, so Confessor Paltris may summon Mutanus the Devourer as in a dungeon randomly. So there's a little tidbit for you.
Love it. All right, hey, that's great, man. That's some
cool.
Good Easter eggs right there. So we'll see. I guess we'll give it another. How long was it last time between the set?
I was just about to ask you that. I can't remember.
What's it like?
November and then January something it came out 17th.
Probably a month and a half or so.
January.
I don't like if the set's out for 4 months. It's probably halfway through or something, right?
Yeah,
2 months.
and
Yeah,
it was very quick between when they announced it was released.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's around the halfway or 2/3 points of the life of the set is probably what I'll guess. And given that they come out in quarters of the year, like the second one won't be announced until July or something, and come out in August, and the third one is generally announced around November, comes out in December. So
they brought it earlier.
That's true. They haven't been contacted with that, but I would probably estimate late May or June is probably the time that we get an official announcement on this. Just eyeballing it off the top of my head here. I could be entirely wrong, except that, so don't quote me on this, but that's my estimation for when we might get more details on if this is Wailing Caverns and what particular characters would be featured in it. And we'd probably get like 4 legendaries, like in the Darkmoon races. They don't have a ton of legendaries, just a few, some neutrals, some spread out throughout the classes. So it would probably just be, and that would make sense because you're not going to turn every single boss from the dungeon into a legendary card. So they probably just take a couple of the highlights in there and make them into about 4 legendaries if they're doing it like they did Darkmoon races.
Love it. Okay. Super cool. All right, you guys. Well, we're sort of at the end of this, so I want to transition to kind of wrapping things up here. Before we close out, I do want to say a quick thank you to our patrons, the patrons of our show, especially our executive producer, Shokunin. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate you. Also to our patrons, Disruptor 108, Claudette G, Daniel B, Justin M, Wildcard, Ahrimourn, BenFromWork, Koran J, and AJ Gomez. Thank you all very, very much for your help and your support. We really appreciate you. If anybody who is watching or listening is interested in supporting the show financially, you can visit our website at borntobewildhs.com. Click on the Find Us page, and there's a link to our Patreon. You can support for as little as like $1 or $2 a month. It goes directly back to us. We've also got a bunch of awesome merch on our website. And if you're somebody who is on Twitch a lot, we've got several new emotes. I guess they're not super new anymore, but they're really cool. That they are available by subbing to us on Twitch. So, yeah. One other thing I will say is a lot of people listen to the audio version of this podcast. So my recommendation, especially for the lore episodes, is watch the video version. If you don't watch it live, that's fine. They're available on YouTube later, but we put a lot of work into the graphics. And so one of the fun things that we get to do here is when Goliath is talking about the lore behind the character and the places and the races in Warcraft, we've got the cards up on the screen and the art from World of Warcraft up on the screen, and you can kind of compare, and almost always you will notice that the art from the Hearthstone cards references the art from the game, and oftentimes they match very closely, and it's really fun to kind of see them outside of their element. And sometimes there's some artistic interpretation, but a lot of times they're very similar, and I'm always amazed at these like fine details that they get. Scholomance was over the top, like they were like spot on. But even here we see it. I mean, some little like one-off rando, quest giver in WoW is now a legendary card in Hearthstone. But lo and behold, the art matches up, and so it's kind of fun to see that. So that's my recommendation for you all. Anyways, yeah, that's about it for us. We had chatted about, normally we've been doing a weekly challenge at the end of each show. Kind of made the decision to not do one this week because all of these cards are so new between the Forge and the Barrens cards and the core set. We haven't really had a chance to play them much, and hopefully we all have a chance to kind of go through and play this weekend and get familiarized with the new stuff. I know going forward we had talked about our weekly challenges, trying to do something without like key specific legendaries, but now that everyone has got this core set for free, we can include more of that and not worry about someone having to craft a card in order to do some silly challenge for us. So trying to be a little bit more thoughtful and inclusive in this process, but ideally we'll be back to kind of regular episode with all the normal stuff next week. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Goliath, thank you very, very much for all the time and energy you put into prepping for this.
Thank you.
Always, like you had mentioned at the start of the show, the way that lore works, like it's like you need a storyteller, right? And then so you know, we're in the tavern and you're telling us the story, and I think we're all kind of enthralled with the story here, and like listening and asking questions, and like it's a lot of fun. And so I wanted to say thank you. And so
in general, that it's this cozy thing, like, you know, everyone is taking a break from their adventure down to hear some stories told around the campfire by a dwarf. So, you know, it fits quite well, I think. I don't have a native Scottish accent, but I think it goes pretty well.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sitting around the hearth right now, and I love these episodes. Like I wait for you to come on. I learn about the set. I have a bigger appreciation for it and for all the work that you do. So thank you so much. And for anybody who wants to find more of what you do, where can people find that stuff?
So if you're interested in learning about, you can always find my lore guide on Out of Dot Cards. I've had a bit over the past year or more that I've been writing for them. I've been a little slow on uploading new ones recently because my real life has been, you know, when you write for a living, you don't always want to write for pleasure. But I've been...
Understand.
Yeah. But I try to keep... I have to keep the story behind all of the Book of Heroes. I'm a little behind on some of those, but I recently released one on Valera. So if you want to learn the story behind that, you can do that. And I have the one talking about all the cards we talked about here, about Forging the Barrens, and just a lot of other stuff that you might be interested in. In the future, as we mentioned earlier, Blakarot and I have a podcast that we're working on called LoreMastersHS. We have one video up on our YouTube channel right now, working on expanding. We'll have more stuff in the future, but if you want to go to LoreMastersHS, then you can find we've just been working on setting up a Twitch channel for it, and like I said, we already have the YouTube channel, so go check that out. I have also recently begun streaming myself. Yes, you can find me at Goliath the Dwarf, just like my name right here on Twitch, and I just kind of stream whatever I'm interested in thematically. So, you know, if you want to hear generally I'll play something that has a strong story focus in some way. Could be from lots of different universes. I've actually recently, just for the past 2 times I've streamed, which is typically on Saturday nights. I'm not doing it tomorrow night because I have prep for Easter the next day. But most of the time currently I stream on Saturday nights. I've been playing a game called Sunless Sea, which is basically set in this universe called in London, which is like Victorian era, but the entire city fell into a deep supernatural subterranean cavern. You have this like Lovecraftian ocean under the ground that you have to explore.
That sounds awesome.
And it's very story based. So if you want to hear me play some of that type of stuff, I read everything out and my voices, get my acting on.
Fun. Okay.
Types of things that I do. So if you're curious to see me do some of that on nights at the time, check me out there. I've just started, slowly building up a following, but I think it's really fun when you can interact with people.
That's awesome. We'll have to shout that out in the Discord, and I'll definitely hop in and check that out sometime when you're doing that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I much appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, if anybody is looking to find me, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Hydralisk_HS. And please come check out the Discord because we have such a great community there. You can find me there and everybody else here. And it's just a great time. You want to see what everybody's playing, have a good time. That's the place to be.
Absolutely. Mike, where can people find you?
Yeah, like Hydra said, come join the Discord. New set is out. This is definitely the time you want to jump in. Every channel is popping off. Conversations are flying like a flurry. Deck lists are coming in. I've been throwing a deck list. I see Nate throwing a deck list. I still got to decipher that Pure Paladin one. It was like in a different language. And I was like, I can only picture about half of the cards.
I know that some of I try to post the code, but when the person that's sharing it doesn't post the code, it makes it difficult.
Agreed.
Yeah,
but
it's all sarcasm. I'm not. It's not you. It's sarcasm. I totally get it. But no, in all seriousness, you guys can find me in Discord. Find me here on the show Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Me and Goliath will be doing Lore Masters. Next episode coming out soon. We got one on YouTube right now. We have our Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch all set up. Once we hit that 100 subscriber mark on YouTube, we can get our custom URL. We got that 30-day mark already passed. So
nice.
You guys check us out for more shows.
Very cool.
Appreciate you, Nate, for letting us have the platform here.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Like, God, lore episodes are like my favorite thing. I wish we could do them every single week, but now we've got a place that we can go for that, and so I love it. It's exciting, man. So,
real quick, because there's some people who don't know, this is very much a team here. We're all a team, very much a group. This isn't me trying to pull Goliath from Born to Be Wild, because if everyone remembers, I found Goliath in a different Discord and wanted him to come join our community and help make it better. I want this Lore Masters thing just to be an extension. Like, I'm not taking episodes away from this podcast. Just trying to answer some people who are worried.
We have different types of content. Here I talk about more like the general concepts of things. We don't have time to deep dive into specific stories. So that's what we do on the Lore Masters. Just two different types of storytelling here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the more lore shows, the better, man. Like, the more podcasts about Hearthstone, the better. So there's food, there's money for everybody out here. I'm just trying to say.
Well, and I would. Wild. Yeah, I would second it. I mean, at its heart, this is a wild podcast, and that is what we do basically every week. But what I like is that, hey, super fun thing. There's a new expansion coming out. We get a lore episode that goes along with the new expansion. We can learn the history of it and see some fun Easter eggs with the cards and like learn the story before we now go play this. And so, you know, it's two separate things, but it's all a big family. Like, and so when I found out you guys are doing it, like, I'm excited, man. I'm super hyped for you guys. And so, you know, it
felt great. You were all for it. I was like, yeah.
Oh, dude. If anybody thinks that there's like bad blood or whatever, you guys are sorely mistaken. Like, I'm pumped for this. And so, you know, we're not changing the core of our show. We'll keep having Goliath back on when there's new sets and all that stuff. And you guys keep doing your thing. And I'm excited for all of it. So
there's plenty of old stuff to talk about if you ever.
Oh, dude.
Sets.
Yeah, we could. There is so much lore. I mean, what is the 30 years of lore, right? 25 years of lore, or how long is
I
mean,
going all the way back to the first you know, real-time strategy one that was released either before I was born or shortly after I was born. I can't quite remember the dates, but yeah, this stuff has been going on, I think, longer than I've been alive. That's a lot of storytelling.
So, well, love it, and I'm excited for what you guys are going to do. I'll make sure and put the links to all of the Lore Masters stuff in the show notes on our website, in the Discord, so that people who want to check that out can find it easily. And so again, if you go to Born to Be Wild HS, if you go to, there's links to the Discord. If you look in the show notes, like, there'll be links to everything, so we can help you guys find that as well. There is one episode out. It's very good. I recommend it, and looking forward to more. If you guys are looking to find me, I'm very active on Twitter at NateWolfTCG. It's NateWolfeTCG. I'm also very active in our Discord, which is really what I recommend. And even for people who don't like social media, the Discord has been a lot of fun. There's a good community there, people talking about all kinds of stuff, especially now that there's new cards. Everybody's sharing achievements. We celebrate each other. Hey, when someone opens an awesome card, they post it. You know, someone does something cool, got some good lethal, had somebody shame concede, have some, you know, the funny usernames. Like, we got there's stuff in there, and it's made so many friends in this like wild Hearthstone community that is unique to Born to Be Wild, and it's an absolute blast. And so I highly recommend that. Yeah, I think that's it. And so I'm excited. We've got lots of new stuff. And like I was saying earlier, we'll sort of resume with our normal style of show next week. We can talk about what we've been playing and start looking into what does WoW look like with this new set. So thank you all for being here tonight. Goliath, Mike, Hydra, it's always great to see you guys. Thank you to everyone who's been watching live and interacting in the chat. Really appreciate you guys giving up your Friday night to hang out with us, and to everyone who's listening to the audio version of this or watching this later on YouTube. We appreciate you as well. So thank you all very much, and we will see you all next week on another new episode of Born to be Wild.
Bye.
Job's done.